Our country, our world, our state, and our community lost a giant today. And, he always used to say that our children are the living messages that we send to a future that we'll never see. And when I woke up to that devastating news, I frankly thought about canceling today. But I thought about what Congressman Elijah Cummings would want us to do, and he would want us to press on with something that was important for our future generations and send that message about our values and the things that we care about. So today, we're here for the trees. The global decline of forests pose a serious threat to our future, and we know that most of that loss is as a result of human activity. So today we're taking action to conserve our forests because we know that they are home to our ecosystems. One of the greatest tools that we have in our toolkit to combat climate change, and frankly, they are necessary for our human life. The importance of our forests cannot be overstated. In fact, in 50 years, a single tree can release about 6,000 pounds of breathable oxygen, which is enough for about 4 people for a year. In addition, our trees actually sequester atmospheric carbon in their tissues via photosynthesis. And this release of carbon into our atmosphere is a major contributing factor to climate change. So one of the ways that we can fight back is with our forests, which can take massive amount of carbon out of our atmosphere and instead store it. And unfortunately, Howard County has historically lagged behind in forest conservation. The state of Maryland passed the Forest Conservation Act to minimize the loss of our forest resources during land development. And this act makes identification and protection of our forests and other sensitive areas an integral part of the site, of the site planning process. And I firmly believe that it is our responsibility, our duty, to make sure that Howard County is not only compliant with this legislation, but frankly that we go farther. So we must ensure that the future development in Howard County is smarter, more transparent, and more environmentally conscious. So today we make a major step forward in protecting our forests and our entire ecosystem. We are making more than a dozen updates to the Howard County Forest Conservation Act to bring it into compliance with state law. And in addition, the law will be strengthened to help conserve forest resources on site and increase our planning requirements. We will create incentives for reforesting within the same watershed. With today's action, we will bring Howard County into full compliance with state law, increase the amount of forestation, retention, and replanting, using new site design requirements, taking into consideration the entire watershed. And we want to continue planting more trees while also protecting the forests we already have. We will add new site design requirements so residential developments must meet 75% of their forest conservation obligations on site. And non-residential developments must protect all sensitive areas with forest conservation easements. Improve the waiver process and reduce the use of fee in lieu to close loopholes and fix ineffective development rules. Now, a maximum of 1 acre forest obligation can be met through fee in lieu in a residential development. And we will improve our stewardship of our green infrastructure network, our map of the most ecologically valuable forests, wetlands, meadows, waterways, and other natural areas. Put simply, we are going to make our environmental regulations cleaner, smarter, and stronger. Our forest conservation enhancements will directly connect to our broader vision to lead by example and to foster a cleaner, more sustainable environment for current and future generations. Our community will be that model of climate resiliency to the rest of the world, proving that local leadership has the power to make important change and be that change that we want to see. To take this bold approach, we've already made significant progress. I previously signed Howard County to the We're Still In Declaration as a promise to world leaders that we will not retreat from the global pact to reduce emissions and stem the causes of climate change. Earlier this year, Howard County was the first county in our nation to formally accept the U.S. Climate Alliance Natural and Working Lands Challenge, which calls on jurisdictions to reduce emissions and increase carbon sequestration. And I signed an executive order to follow through on our energy goals and reduce greenhouse gas emissions of county government operations to zero by 2050. And most recently, I've strengthened our pesticide policy and joined the coalition known as Bee City USA. And that pesticide legislation will be before the county council. And I just want to again thank all of the members. And I know that you'll hear from Chairperson Rigby, Vice Chairperson Jones, and I want to thank Councilmember Deb Young for being here. We will save our threatened pollinators and protect the health of every living thing in Howard County. And now we can add forest conservation to that list and ensure that our collective future is even brighter. Working together, we can protect what is most precious to us and save it for future generations. And now is the moment for us to unite as one community and act on behalf of our entire planet. With our Forest Conservation Act, we will be able to protect many trees, and since planting a tree is about the best thing that we can do for the environment, we're also going to continue giving away 2,000 trees this month to be planted here in Howard County. And as they grow, so might our resolve to be better stewards of our land and protectors of our natural world. Thank you.
It's both professionally exciting to be here today, but also personally. Where we are now is in District 3, who I represent, and I spend a lot of time with my family in these woods, biking and hiking, and it's really lovely to be here, and I'm so glad that everyone here had the opportunity to come out to Savage Park, and I hope you'll come back again. It is an exciting time to be here with County Executive Dr. Ball, Councilman Opal Jones, and also Councilman Deb Young. All of us care very deeply about our natural resources, and we're very excited that we're going to be taking on forest conservation here in Howard County. Many previous councils have tried to get these changes over the line, have tried over, I think the last update was almost 20 years ago. So it's very exciting, and I think that we really will be able to take this legislation across the line and to make these changes to our laws to truly protect our trees and our environment. As we continue to grow, one of my greatest concerns has been that we are paving over the east and greening the west. And I am so excited that we are prioritizing on-site retention, that we are prioritizing, this is my little drum that I bang all the time, but that we are prioritizing replanting within the same watershed. that is vital. It's not enough to cut down a tree over here and replant it out on Daisy Road. It needs to happen here where it's needed, where it's most desperately needed. So I'm very glad that we are implementing stricter standards for reforestation and for afforestation, which means planting trees where there are none, for those of you not up to date on your forest con. And truly increasing the incentives to retain and replant trees. So as we take up this legislation the next month, I hope we're all able to unify around an issue that connects us, which is a healthy environment, because that's vital to having a healthy community. I look forward to working with County Executive Dr. Ball and the County Council to really bring this legislation over the finish line so we can update our Forest Conservation Act here locally for the first time in over 20 years. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It is a pleasure to join County Executive Dr. Ball and our County Council Chair, Christiana Mercer Rigby, as well as our Council Member, Deb Young, as we announce historic legislation for Howard County's forest conservation. The Forest Conservation Act will bring Howard County into full compliance with state law, as was mentioned earlier. This act will reduce the use of fee in lieu and will adjust the waiver process. As previously addressed, the fee in lieu cannot be requested for more than 1 acre of obligation in residential development. This will increase the planned service area rate to an additional 50 cents and an additional 55 cents to outside the planned service area, as these wonderful poster boards display. Adjusting the waiver process is necessary as well for compliance. All variances will only be granted to applicants that meet the unwarranted hardship standard, which is not currently applied. Moreover, granting variances will not require the planning board's approval, but will be made jointly by the Directors of Planning and Zoning, Recreation and Parks, and Office of Community Sustainability. Again, I am thoroughly excited to join County Executive Dr. Calvin Ball and County Council Chair Mrs. Mercer Rigby to maintain and strengthen the standards of forestry in our country. Thank you.
Thank you for having me out here today, and thank you, County Executive Ball, for introducing this very important piece of legislation. Chesapeake Bay Foundation and our partners that were mentioned have been working the forest issue very hard over the last few years. There are very few things more important to water quality than more trees. The bill, as described today, is going to keep more trees in place, replant more than we have now, and most importantly, put the trees back in the same watersheds where the impact is happening. For far too long, we try to plant a sapling, a little tiny tree, sometimes even just a stalk. It doesn't even look like a tree yet, far afield from where the damage is actually being done. That doesn't improve our water quality. It doesn't hold the soil in place. It doesn't prevent the flooding that's happening in communities. And this bill is designed to fix a very targeted problem that Howard County has been having. There have been many small projects with many small losses, but they have all added up to have a humongous impact. This is the example of death by 1,000 cuts. So we're excited to see that the legislation is so specifically crafted to correct the problems and put Howard County on the path to be a leader when it comes to forest conservation. I'm not going to say that it's going to be easy. Like I said, we've been fighting these battles at the state level and locally for many years. It's going to be hard. But we're all here to do it and to see it through. I too have young children, and I do not want to leave the same planet that I am working in now. I want it to be better. So Chesapeake Bay Foundation, our partners, we're ready to roll up our sleeves and get this hard thing done. Thank you again for the leadership on this.
I'm going to make a call to action to everybody that's standing here. And that is to say that we are pre-filing this. Next Thursday, it will be introduced, November 4th, and then the fun begins. So I am hoping that I will see letters and testimony come in, show your support, because this does not get over the finish line without everybody standing right here. So thank you very much for being here, and see you at the hearing.